Every single year, people get further and further into debt. There is no relief. There is no escape. Shoppers consume. They see advertisements and they consume more. Consumers, however, are in the most debt they have ever been in history. The bankers, regulators, and governments have made it far too easy to get cheap money. Everywhere you turn, there is an offer. 0% APR. No money down. Don't pay until next year. Eventually, the debt will crush them. You came here for the truth, so let me unveil that for you. Today, we're going to talk about debt. As I record this, it is American Thanksgiving, and we have entered into the holiday season. And around this time, people tend to spend a lot of money. There's no doubt about that. However, sometimes they don't have the money that they're spending. They're doing so using debt. And that's fine in certain cases when you put 20% down on your mortgage and you're purchasing a home that you intend on paying off over the next several years. You use that leverage in order to get the home, but you do so methodically. You are able to sit down, reach the agreed upon amount. You have a set rate that you're going to be paying this back at, and you know what's going to happen in this foreseeable future. However, when we're talking about consumables, when we're talking about iPhones, you don't need to buy that on debt. If you can't afford it, the best idea is to not buy it. Now, I have argued this many times before, and I have been unfortunately ridiculed by some who believe that there will be a debt jubilee, that individuals will be able to forego any debts that they have, all because of a system that is collapsing. They believe that their debts will be wiped off, and so the best idea is to accumulate as much debt as they possibly can now. I think that's a bad idea because, as you can see, over the last decade, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on, there has been no attempt by bankers ever to wipe your debt off of the books. It's never happened. If you're a banker, if you own a major conglomerate, maybe you can have that benefit. But today, individuals, consumers, they're not going to get that. If you're still dealing with holiday debt, there's no need to be Scrooge. Can you believe this? Almost 3 in 10 shoppers are going into the holiday season still carrying debt from last year's festivities. People purchase things they cannot afford, and it doesn't disappear. It doesn't evaporate. It will haunt you, and you're seeing that today. For some people, opening up a credit card statement is like a visit from the ghost of Christmas past. Individuals are expected to actually spend as much as $1,000 from everything, talking gifts, food, holiday attire, and that number is actually an increase from last year. But that doesn't give the true picture of the cost. 28% of shoppers are entering this holiday season still paying off the debt from last year's festivities. It's not going to go away. You have to pay it down. And the reason that people get into this trap is that they start in the first place. Don't get into debt in the first place. If you're already there, there are many strategies that can help you to get out of that. There are many companies that facilitate this type of help with debt, and I know that this would be beneficial to a lot of people to just get it handled, get it taken care of, and be able to move on onto better places. This is an infographic right here. Credit card debt by the numbers. 43% is the number of Americans who have been carrying a credit card balance for 2+ years. That's just way too high. I'll zoom in on this. We could take a look at some of these. 16,000, almost 17,000 actually, how much the average household with credit card debt owes. Now, you have to think, 17,000, it's not the biggest number in the world, but think about the interest rate on that credit card. What is it, 18%? Maybe it's 20%. Some of them go up to 30%. that number starts to become very big as it compounds. The credit card companies are making a fortune even if you're paying the minimum. How much the average household with credit card debt pays in interest each year? $1,300. There you go. $1,300 right down the drain. You haven't gained anything else. You just had to pay the interest on all that debt you owe. $326 the average cost to transfer a $5,000 balance to be paid off over 24 months. That's an expensive fee, all because you accumulated debt in the first place. How much do you plan to spend on gifts this holiday season? Right now in 2018, people are expected to spend $776. That's a lot of money. That truly is a lot of money to be spending on gifts. Now, it's nice to give gifts. It's nice to receive gifts, but does it have to cost $776? Do you have to be an individual who spends a lot of money to give somebody something nice? It's usually the gifts, and this is not to get into, some preachy mode, but the gifts that we usually remember many, many years later are often the ones that are most sentimental. They probably cost nothing or very little. This is the total revolving credit. Essentially, we're looking at credit card debt here, and we're at a record high today, over $1 trillion in credit card debt. And we saw a small deleveraging occur during the financial crisis and the following years, and it didn't take long for people to get back to their normal ways. After all the bankruptcies, after all the homes and things that were sold off or walked away from, people started to then accumulate more debt as they felt safe and secure. Student loans, $1.5 trillion plus at this time. This is a number that is completely and entirely outrageous. There's more delinquencies on this type of debt, and it grows faster than even credit card debt today. There's no way individuals will be able to pay off their student loans. And then, of course, we have the US Debt Clock, a very good website. Not only does it show you the numbers, but if you put your mouse over top, it will give you the source of where it's getting that information from. So in this example here, the national debt heading towards $22 trillion. The national public debt outstanding represents the face amount or the principal amount of marketable and non-marketable securities currently outstanding. Source, US Treasury. So it tells you the explanation of exactly what that is. It gives you the source. It's a great website. And they have some other tabs you can see at the very bottom of the page. But essentially, this tells us what individuals owe. You could see everything from credit card debt and student debt to the nation itself. So you can look at that and look at different nations, in fact, around the world and see how bad certain countries are compared to others. But what is most important is the individual. What exactly are they getting themselves into? Is it all iPhones and iPods? Or are people struggling to pay their basic expenses? Maybe it's both. I want to know what you think, of course. I want to hear from you. Do you think that people purchase things, especially during this holiday season, that they really shouldn't be? People perhaps, that always overspend, they're always in debt, and they're buying things that they could really be using that money in somewhere that is more productive. Unfortunately, this time of year, when it's great because we usually see family, see friends, there's a lot of that giving that's going on. However, I think that it has been overtaken with consumerism, and that's truly unfortunate because the state right now today is looking quite dismal for a lot of people, and they don't even know what's coming. If you found this video informative, please give me a thumbs up. When you give me a thumbs up, you're supporting this channel. I want to say happy Thanksgiving to all my American friends out there. Thank you for your support, as always. And if you want the financial education you were not taught in school, these two books have it all. Check them out at the link in the description. Take care.